The galactic food market aboard Station Reltava was famous for two things: its impossible smells and its even more impossible egos. Of all the egos present, none shone brighter than Chef Tral'kesh, a four-armed culinary legend whose dishes were renowned and feared across multiple star systems. His apron was embroidered with medals, warnings, and at least one legal notice. Humans called him the Gordon Ramsay of creatures who might legally eat you. So when a human walked up to his stall, Tral'kesh barely glanced over his shoulder. "Menus posted," the chef rumbled. "If you want something mild, go to the vendor with the green tent out front. This is not a place for fragile digestive systems." The human Marco grinned and placed a small airtight container on the counter. "I was hoping for a challenge." Tral'kesh paused. Slowly, dramatically. He lifted the container, sniffing near the seal. His pupils dilated. "What is this? It smells like—" "Molten hatred. Ghost pepper," Marco said casually. "Earth's finest." Tral'kesh's lower pair of arms recoiled. His upper pair pulled out a datapad and tapped rapidly. "No, no, no. This pepper is illegal on 5 planets. 5. He showed Marco a flashing red list, full of entries like, Class 3 combustive vegetable hazard, causes existential panic in small mammals, previously used as a chemical weapon on Grather 2. Marco beamed proudly. "Thought you might like to try cooking with it." Around them, several alien patrons backed away, muttering prayers to their heat-resistant deities. Tral'kesh narrowed all 4 eyes. "Human, you insult me if you think I cannot handle this insignificant fruit. My species can taste ultraviolet wavelengths. Our tongues evolved in volcanic regions. We have culinary traditions older than your planet's recorded history." Marco shrugged. "Then cook something with it." Now that was the insult the chef could not ignore. A hush fell across the market. Cameras clicked. Someone started a live stream. A betting pool even appeared on 3 nearby holoscreens. Tral'kesh cracked all his knuckles in sequence. "Very well, human Marco. You wish for a dish forged in fire? A test of will and tongue? Prepare yourself." He sliced the ghost pepper. A dozen aliens fainted instantly. The stall's ventilation unit began screaming in distress. Marco just applauded. Tral'kesh tasted the smallest sliver with the tip of one tongue. The great chef staggered. Actual tears sprayed from his secondary eyes like pressurized fountains. The crowd gasped, but then something changed. He straightened. A trembling smile crept over his mandibles. "Incredible," Tral'kesh whispered. "Such pure, unrefined agony. Such elegant violence." He lunged into action with renewed frenzy, chopping, searing, reducing, mixing. Flames roared, sauces hissed. The pan itself tried to run away twice. Finally, he slammed down a steaming bowl. "Behold, Volcanic Harmony, Human Edition. The first dish in history crafted with this ghost of peppers." The bowl glowed ominously. "Smells perfect," Marco said. Tral'kesh leaned over eagerly. "Now taste it. If you survive, you may carry the honor of being my first human success." Marco scooped up a full spoonful. The audience leaned in. He ate it. He chewed. He swallowed. Then he blinked. Pretty good. Like chili with trust issues. The entire station went silent. Tral'kesh froze. "Human," he whispered, his voice cracking. "Did you enjoy it?" Marco nodded. "Yeah. Could use a little more kick, honestly." The datapad slipped from the chef's trembling hands. Your species is a culinary abomination." Marco took another bite. "We prefer the term spice enthusiasts." Tral'kesh stared, his mind reeling. "You brought me an outlawed pepper. And you withstand it better than a creature born in magma?" Marco raised his container. "I've got hotter ones back home." The chef's eyes widened to full saucer size. "Hotter?" "Oh yeah," Marco tapped the lid. "This was just the warm-up pepper." A dozen creatures screamed. Someone hit the emergency alarm. A fire suppression drone fled the scene entirely. Tral'kesh grabbed Marco by the shoulders with all 4 hands. "Human, listen carefully. You and we must form an alliance. Bring me these peppers. Teach me your ways. Together, we will create recipes so potent they will write new galactic laws." Marco laughed. "Deal, but first you gotta try Carolina Reaper." The chef paled, physically paled, despite being naturally purple. "Reaper?" he croaked. Marco winked. "Hold my ghost pepper. Thanks for tuning in." If you enjoyed this story, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more amazing tales from across the galaxy. We'll see you in the next one. Part 2. You carry death-grade produce in your backpack? The chaos on Station Reltava had barely calmed when Marco pulled out a second small container. This one was wrapped in 3 layers of heat shielding and had a polite warning label that read, "Open at your own risk. Probably your last." Chef Tral'kesh flinched. The crowd flinched. The station's ventilation system quietly shut itself off to avoid any liability. "Human," Tral'kesh whispered, his voice a trembling melody of awe and dread. "Is that the Reaper you spoke of?" Marco tapped the case. A small tink echoed through the silent plaza. "Yep, Carolina Reaper. World record holder back home. Thought you might want to study it." "Study it?" The chef staggered back. "I am not a weapons engineer." "This is cuisine, not warfare," Marco grinned. "Then let's make something good." The audience reacted as if he had suggested juggling live antimatter. A Grathorian popped out from behind a pillar. "Human Marco. Our insurance policies do not cover interaction with Class 5 Scoville entities." Another alien, clutching a medkit, muttered, "Why do humans treat pain like seasoning?" Tral'kesh swallowed hard, his 4 hands twitching uncontrollably. "Before we continue, I must ask why. Why does your species cultivate such horrors?" Marco chuckled. "Honestly, because it's fun. And because stews taste better when they threaten your mortality a little." Several creatures in the crowd fainted in perfect synchronization. The chef began pacing in frantic circles, his steps echoing his panic. "This is insanity. If I handle this pepper without proper preparation, I could lose 2 tongues, possibly 3. Marco just shrugged. "I've got gloves." Tral'kesh froze mid-pace. "You have gloves?" Marco opened a small pouch on his belt and pulled out a pair of ordinary gardening gloves. Tral'kesh stared as if Marco had just committed a series of unspeakable war crimes right in front of him. "That's not protection," the chef stammered. "That's just fabric pretending to be brave." Marco put them on anyway. And he opened the container. A shimmering wave of heat rolled out visible, like a desert mirage, except it smelled like spicy despair. The holocameras filming the event fogged instantly. A nearby security droid screamed, "Pepper alert detected," then rolled itself directly off the platform in surrender. Tral'kesh forced himself forward, his dedication to his craft battling his survival instinct. "Human Marco, I have cooked meteor serpent liver. I have prepared pyroclastic crab fresh from an eruption. I once sautéed a beast that screamed flavor directly into your soul." He took a shaky breath. "But this? It's just a pepper," Marco said, completely unconcerned. Tral'kesh pointed an accusing finger, his hand trembling. "It is never just a pepper with you people." But he approached, slowly. Reverently. He used a specialized knife to slice the tiniest possible fragment less than a molecule thick. As he did, the knife began to glow red-hot. The cutting board started to smoke. The counter beneath it melted a little and seemed to whimper in pain. The chef tested the minuscule slice with the gentlest brush of one of his secondary tongues. There was a pause, a gag, a full-body shudder that rippled through his entire frame. Tral'kesh collapsed onto all 4 knees. "I have seen the abyss," he croaked. "And it tasted like fruity damnation." Marco clapped his hands together. "Good sign." The chef staggered upright, wiping tears from all of his eyes. "Human, I will continue. But," he pointed an accusatory finger again, "you must be present in case I perish." "As my witness." "Deal," Marco said. "Now let's cook." The next 30 minutes were absolute culinary madness. Flames taller than the patrons roared from the stove. Saucepans spasmed on the cooktop like terrified animals. The alien spectators, now an audience to a potential catastrophe, crouched behind overturned tables, watching as if it were a gladiator match. Tral'kesh mixed the microscopic slice of Reaper into a thick, dark stew. Each stir produced sparks. Not metaphorical ones, actual, literal sparks. The very air hummed with a dangerous, delicious flavor. Finally, the chef poured the stew into a reinforced ceramic bowl. A small shield drone floated down from the ceiling, its scanner bathing the dish in light. A robotic voice announced, "Warning, edible object exceeds recommended spiciness by a factor of 11. Proceed at own risk or request immediate medical coverage upgrade." Tral'kesh exhaled, the sound shaky and exhausted. "It is done." The first dish in the galaxy infused with whatever madness your species cultivates. Marco picked up a spoon. The crowd gasped in unison. One alien whispered, "He can't. He won't. He'll die." Marco ate, 1 spoonful. 2, 3. He licked his lips. "Pretty good. Want a taste?" Tral'kesh made a noise somewhere between a scream and a whimper. "No," he croaked. "No, human. I have already seen eternity once today." Marco shrugged. "Suit yourself." He finished the rest of the bowl. The chef stared at him, all 4 of his eyes trembling with a sudden, profound revelation. "Human Marco. Do you realize what this means? With these peppers, your earth peppers, we could dominate the entire galactic culinary scene. Our names will be spoken in awe. Feared, revered, prohibited on even more planets." Marco smiled, a glint in his eye. "So we're partners now?" Tral'kesh extended 2 of his hands. Marco shook them both firmly. "Yes," the chef whispered, his voice filled with a newfound terrifying purpose. "Partners. In spice." 3 days after Marco and Chef Tral'kesh formed their unholy spice alliance, a message arrived on the station. It wasn't polite, it wasn't friendly, and it certainly wasn't a gentle request to stop melting the atmospheric filters. No, this message was stamped with the sigil of the Galactic Culinary Council, the most feared, bureaucratic, and humorless organization in the known universe. A booming voice echoed through the market. "Chef Tral'kesh of Reltava, you have violated 7 culinary laws, 3 safety standards, and 1 unwritten rule of common sense. Report immediately." Everyone in the food court froze. Everyone except Marco. He was busy stirring a new pot of something red, thick, and undeniably illegal. Tral'kesh's eyes flared with panic. "Human Marco, this is catastrophic. The council controls every licensed kitchen in the galaxy. If they revoke my certification, I will be reduced to catering children's slime parties." Marco just shrugged. "Sounds fun. Nitrogen monoxide, IT is not fun. IT is sticky and humiliating." Another announcement thundered from the speakers. "You have been charged with creation of a Class 5 Scoville weapon disguised as soup." Marco grinned. "Oh, the Reaper stew?" Tral'kesh grabbed him by the shoulders, his forearms shaking with dread. "That dish caused 3 drones to malfunction, 1 customer to ascend temporarily into a different dimension, and a poor Thrillian to experience emotions it wasn't biologically designed to feel." "Yeah," Marco said, nodding thoughtfully. "It was pretty good." The chef groaned, his head slumping forward. "We are doomed. The council never negotiates with spice offenders." Marco wiped his hands on his apron. "Relax, we'll just talk to them. Maybe give them some samples." A nearby alien shrieked in horror. "No! Do not feed the council anything. They've banned cinnamon because it scared them." Marco blinked. "Cinnamon?" The crowd nodded gravely. Tral'kesh sighed. "They deemed it too whimsical." Marco's jaw tightened. "Then they definitely need to try Earth chili." "We are not trying to start a war." It was too late. The station lights dimmed. The ground shook. A massive council frigata, gray, rectangular, and aggressively uninspired block of metal latched onto the docking ring. A delegation marched into the market. They were tall, robed, dignified, and wearing bibs embroidered with the words, "Culinary Purity, OR Chaos." The lead inspector lifted a datapad. "Chef Tral'kesh, human, you stand accused of—" He paused and sniffed the air. His pupils shrank. "What? Is that smell?" Marco brightened. "Oh, I'm experimenting with Trinidad Maruga scorpion peppers today." The inspector recoiled as if he'd been shot. "Scorpion? On this station? Are you trying to kill someone?" Marco held up a spoon, pointing at the simmering pot. "Want a taste?" The entire delegation took 1 synchronized step backward. 2 of them fainted on the spot. The lead inspector steadied himself on a nearby counter. "Absolutely not. This station has already suffered significant flavor trauma because of your actions." Tral'kesh bowed low. "Honored council, please, this is a misunderstanding. The human simply brought me ingredients from his home planet." "Ingredients?" The inspector snapped. "Your last dish melted through its bowl." Tral'kesh coughed. "High-quality bowls are expensive. And," the inspector continued, his voice rising, "you allowed a human to consume the entire thing without medical supervision." Marco scratched his neck. "I feel fine." "Exactly," the inspector said dramatically. "And that terrifies us. He pointed a gloved finger at Marco. Human. Your species' relationship with capsaicin is unnatural, reckless, dangerous. Marco just shrugged again. It's a hobby. Hobbies should not require hazard suits. The inspector shouted. Marco held out a spoonful of the new bubbling concoction. Try it, just a little. No. The inspector stumbled back, tripped over his own robe, and crashed into a stall selling fermented tentacle roots. Marco winced. Sorry, Tral'kesh whispered urgently. Human Marco. Stop offering them samples. They interpret it as a threat. Marco sighed. Fine. Then what do they want? The inspector stood up, dripping with tentacle root juice, his dignity barely intact. We want, he growled, your peppers confiscated, your kitchen restricted, and your culinary partnership dissolved. Immediately. Tral'kesh stiffened. The panic in his eyes was replaced by a defiant spark. No. A collective gasp went through the market. The inspector's robes seemed to flare with indignation. No? The chef stepped forward, standing tall and proud. I will not abandon my craft. And I will never refuse an ingredient simply because it frightens the galaxy. Cooking is evolution. Passion. Fire. Marco grinned. Spice. Yes. Tral'kesh boomed. Spice. And if the council fears flavor, then perhaps it is THEY who must adapt. A wave of murmurs spread across the market. The inspector glared, his face turning a pale shade of purple. You dare defy us? Marco folded his arms. We dare cook. Tral'kesh stood at Marco's side, all four hands clenched into culinary fists. The inspector took a long, trembling breath. Very well, you leave us no choice. He tapped his datapad. By order of the Galactic Culinary Council, your stew is now classified as a controlled substance, and you too are coming with us. The monitors in the Galactic Culinary Council's observation booth blinked frantically. Flavor index. Off the charts. Danger. Unquantifiable. Observer health. Questionable. The lead inspector's hands shook as he slowly removed his gloves. I don't understand, he stammered. This dish. It should be catastrophic. It should have. A sharp beep cut him off. The tasting device had gone completely offline. Just then, a cloud of steam and spice escaped the containment chamber and drifted into the booth. The assembled observers erupted in a chorus of coughs. One senior member, overwhelmed, fainted entirely. Down below, inside Containment Unit 7, Marco and Chef Tral'kesh exchanged triumphant grins. Did you see that? Marco said, his voice buzzing with excitement. They can't even measure it. It's perfect. Tral'kesh's mandibles clicked in enthusiastic agreement. Human Marco, this is more than just cooking. This is humanity. Marco let out a laugh. I call it HFY, humans flipping the galaxy with pepper. The alien chef shivered, not from the kitchen's heat but from pure awe. The audacity, the subtlety, the sheer madness of it all. They cannot contain this culinary miracle. It defies every regulation, every precaution, every rulebook. Marco finished for him. Yes! Tral'kesh roared, his voice echoing across the kitchen. We have shattered every expectation and come out alive. The council has no idea what to do with us. And he was right. Up in the observation booth, chaos reigned. The council scrambled to come up with a response. One observer whispered nervously, Do we arrest them? Another, looking pale, shook their head. No, they're untouchable. The humans' resilience, combined with the alien chef's skill. We can't, but a third, braver than the rest, muttered an idea that hung in the air. We should invite them to the next Galactic Festival. Maybe let the universe taste it, but in controlled doses. Down in the kitchen, Tral'kesh's eyes widened at the broadcasted suggestion. Invite? Us? Marco leaned over the simmering pot, a mischievous glint in his eye. Why not? Let the galaxy see what humans bring to the table. The chef placed a trembling hand on Marco's shoulder. Human Marco, you have taught me a truth I will never forget. Your species doesn't merely consume spice. You survive it, harness it. You celebrate it. You are remarkable. Marco just smirked. Told you. We're good at a lot of things and cooking is definitely one of them. Tral'kesh let out a chuckle, a deep, rumbling sound like a small volcanic eruption, and we will continue. We will push the boundaries. We will create flavors that no being in this galaxy has ever imagined. Together. Outside the containment cell, the blaring alarms finally went silent. The council, unsure how to proceed, issued a temporary reprieve. Marco and Tral'kesh were free to continue their work under monitored conditions, with extreme caution advised for all involved. Marco winked directly at the camera feed connected to the observation booth. "You've got nothing to worry about," he said. "Well, maybe a little, but mostly nothing." One of the observers whispered in a hushed, reverent tone, "We underestimated humans." The lead inspector nodded solemnly. "Indeed, they are terrifying and magnificent." As the day ended, Marco and Tral'kesh cleaned their kitchen. The steam still curled from the pot, shimmering with an otherworldly mix of spices. Every utensil, every cutting board, every ingredient held the promise of their next creation. Marco carefully packed his earth peppers back into their special containers. "Next time," he announced, "we try a blend with habanero, ghost, and something called the devil's tongue. Ever heard of it?" Tral'kesh's 4 eyes went wide with a mix of horror and excitement. "The devil's tongue? You are completely insane." "Insanity is part of the flavor," Marco said with a wide grin. They both laughed, a human and an alien, side by side in a galaxy that had just learned a very valuable lesson. For the council, it was a lesson in humility. For the culinary world, it was a revolution. And for Marco and Tral'kesh, it was the beginning of a partnership that would forever change the meaning of spice. Marco looked around their containment cell-turned kitchen. "Ready for the next round, chef?" Tral'kesh flexed all 4 of his powerful arms. "Born ready? Let's show the galaxy what humanity and maybe one very curious alien chef can do." And with that, they returned to their stoves. Their laughter echoed off the reinforced walls, their ingredients brimming with dangerous, delicious possibility. And somewhere up in the council chambers, another observer fainted. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more tailies from across the galaxy. See you in the next one.